This is Charter Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance. We are joined by Robert Garcia. He is the mayor of the city of Long Beach, second biggest city in Los Angeles County, which you know recently passed a law to increase the minimum wage in unincorporated areas. The city of Los Angeles did the same, and they're both set at about $15 an hour. Not about, exactly $15 an hour. So that covers about 4.5 million people in the county.
Right.
You have another 500,000.
Right.
And so what's your city doing in terms of potential minimum wage increases?
Well, I think, first of all, I think it's an important conversation happening here in the whole state of California and really across the country. And it's not just LA County. I mean, you look at what's happening in San Francisco, and Oakland, Seattle, and even closer to home, Santa Monica, Pasadena, a lot of conversations.
Right.
So here in Long Beach, I mean, there's one thing that's absolutely true. You look at any economic report, or look at the data, wages have not kept up with economic growth. But as far as what the right number is and what is actually something that businesses and nonprofits can absorb is, I think, a different question. And so what we're doing in Long Beach is we saw what LA County did, we saw what the city did. We're going to take our own approach. So we're doing a major study right now with the some of the economic folks in LA County, some researchers. We're doing a study, and then we'll come up with what the information is right for Long Beach.
But what's interesting about Long Beach, unlike, let's say, central portions of Los Angeles, is you are bordering several different jurisdictions. You have Orange County right next door. Right. You have Signal Hill, which is a donut in the middle of your city. And so, and then Lakewood and, Hawaiian Gardens, all those other places. So if you act and the other jurisdictions don't, there's a fear that folks will just drive across state lines and go to Orange County and have their meal there. Talk to me about that.
Well, I think it goes two ways. I think, one, you're absolutely right. That is a fear, and it's a fear that we're trying to address and talk to a lot of folks about. The other part of it is the opposite flip side of that. So what happens when you're a community that has wages that are increased in other places and yours are not? Does that mean that the best workers go to Los Angeles, to other parts of the county? So it's really also a competition for the best workforce, and I think it's pretty clear the best workforce is going to go where they're best compensated. So that is also an important piece of it. What's happening, though, also is a statewide push. I mean, it's likely going to be on the ballot in November of 2016.
Pushing it to what? 13?
No, they're looking at 15. I believe the 2021 is the current ballot initiative. Now, I'm not sure if that's the right number, but a statewide approach is always better than a piecemeal approach.
Sure.
So there's no question about that. And we would support a statewide approach.
I want to ask about studies. You're a political scientist yourself. You're a doctor, right, of political science?
Education.
But specializing in political theory, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And so there are dueling studies. I'm sure you know this. Two studies are constantly held up. You got the Berkeley study, which is in support of increase in minimum wage. You got the Beacon study, which I guess you could say is not as supportive of minimum wage, against. What do you do? What do you do with this?
Well, I think first that every jurisdiction's got to have their own path, and I think that there are a lot of studies besides those two, by the way. I mean, there's national studies, other
but those two we keep hearing about.
Listen, there's no question that if someone's been working at a fast food restaurant for 8 or 9 years, I've met some of these workers, they're not teenagers. I mean, you look at all the data. The data is very clear that particularly workers in the fast food industry or other minimum wage jobs, they've been in these jobs for 5, 6, 10 years. These are people with families, with kids. And so I think the minimum wage conversation is important. We should look at it. But what we shouldn't do is prejudge and say, well, just because LA did 15, Long Beach should do 15 to 2020. I think we've got to figure out our own thing. We put together a series of 6 community panels and meetings that we've had. We've had a few of them already.
Please tell me what you hear.
Well, we hear a variety of things. The first thing we hear from business owners, by the way, is that most business owners, particularly small business owners, they're good people and they want to help. They love their employees. They want to invest in their employees. And they're just concerned that they won't be able to serve as many employees or be able to provide the same level of service to their customers.
Because what we've heard is fast food, hospitality, small business, they won't be able to weather the increase. And so we will see a combination of layoffs and price increases.
That's right.
Because someone is going to have to pay for the increase in minimum wage.
And there's an interesting, discussion happening. When the research came out, what happened at the county, they did this very academic, scientific study on this. And when they asked business owners if they would close or move, I mean, a vast majority resounding was no, they wouldn't. They would have passed the cost on to the customer or try to make ends meet. Now, that's not the perfect scenario, but the truth is that we're right now doing our own version of the study, and we're going to find out what works for Long Beach. We're also hearing from workers that they're working hard and they're not getting the increase. We're hearing from small business owners, and the important part is we're also hearing from nonprofits. If you have a nonprofit like the Boys and Girls Club, who hires a lot of youth that by the way may not have any other job opportunities, and they're making maybe the minimum wage or a little bit above the minimum wage, and they're only working for 6 months for a summer, they're 18 years old. What's the right wage for them? I mean, for a lot of those kids, they just want a job, they want a shot to get them experience.
They may not need the $15 an hour.
That's exactly right. And so I think there's a lot to look at. Overall, do I think the minimum wage should be raised? Absolutely. As far as what it should be, I think we've got to look at the data and look at the research.
There's been some criticism, specifically with regard to LA City, that certain industries and union groups were able to exempt themselves. And are you hoping for it to be a little cleaner here in Long Beach, if I can use that term?
Well, I think it's been very clean in Long Beach, and as far as I'm concerned and where the council's going, there's going to be no those types of exemptions won't exist. If there are going to be any exemptions, they're going to be looking at exempting maybe like certain small business owners or certain types of smaller kind of internship type opportunities. But overall, I think we want to, if the city's going to pass a minimum wage, it's going to be for everybody.
I want to talk to you about crime. Over the last 5 years, in the depths of our economic recession, crime was dropping. Completely counterintuitive. In every other recession, crime increased. Why was it dropping? Maybe people were too despondent, maybe better technologies, reducing crime, we can catch the bad guys quicker. But lately, we've seen an uptick in crime. Is it because people are less despondent because the economy is doing better? And that uptick has hit Long Beach.
It's interesting. And so this crime uptick is not only happening in the state of California, almost in every big city, but across the country. I was with a group of about 20 mayors about, just a few weeks ago.
And what are they saying?
They were all saying the same thing, whether it was, Los Angeles or whether it was Louisville or whether it was, Seattle or other places. Everyone's like, crime is increasing. And there's a variety of things that are happening. One, I believe there's a push, unfortunately, with the gangs and other things on these synthetic drugs. And drugs are now becoming, whether it's synthetic marijuana or other synthetic types of drugs, people are using these at a much greater rate, and they're causing a lot of issues in a lot of urban communities. Beyond that, the Attorney General, the Justice Department are doing a major project right now where they're trying to find and do study as to why this increase is happening across the country. Now, it's not an enormous spike. I mean, if you think about, take Long Beach, crime right now, which we've seen a small spike this year over last, if you look at that, you compare it to like 10 years ago, I mean, it's still dramatically less crime than it was. So it's still a much safer community than it was 10 years ago, but certainly it's an increase from last year, which was, by the way, the lowest level of crime in the history of the city. So it's kind of like there's only a certain level. I mean, it's almost impossible to completely eliminate crime because it was so low last year. Yeah, sure, there's going to be an increase this year.
Some folks have argued the reason we're seeing crime spikes is because of what's known as prison realignment, AB 109, because of Prop 47, which reclassified certain lower level offenses to misdemeanors. But I guess if it's happening nationwide, I mean, other states don't have 109 or 47. But how would you, I mean, what's your sense?
Well, I do think that there is some probably truth to that. We are seeing that. I mean, there's no question that a lot of the crime that we're seeing is being committed by folks that otherwise would be in prison. This with the system. However, listen, Prop 47, and I think I get where we're coming from trying to essentially assist those folks that are in prison that really shouldn't be there. And I get that part. What's happened, though, is while we passed things like Prop 47 and some bills, there wasn't the support and financial support for cities on the other end. So I think the intention of Prop 47 and some of these bills are good, but then without resources, without the ability to get some of those folks into the workforce, education, opportunities for them to get into jobs or training, it's very difficult for those folks to have support. And so that funding support for them on the other side as they exit the incarceration system doesn't exist. So as cities, we try our best, but without state support, it's very difficult for cities to do that work.
Okay, his name is Robert Garcia. He is the mayor of the beautiful city of Long Beach, California. My name is Brad Pomerance. We're in Long Beach today. Thank you for inviting us here.
Of course.
And this is Charter Local Edition.